Welcome back to CIA Declassified. The year is 1985, the year that I was born. History would later call it the year of the spy. The setting is a paranoid, high-stakes landscape where the front lines aren't trenches, but the safe houses of Vienna and the diplomatic circles of Moscow. The Reagan administration and the Kremlin are locked in a psychological death match. In this era, a single high-level defection or a well-placed mole could render an entire nuclear arsenal obsolete. The agency was reeling from the betrayals of Aldrich Ames and Edward Lee Howard. The atmosphere was thick with the scent of the Munster plot, the terrifying belief that the KGB had completely infiltrated the CIA. To strike back, the agency launched a series of high-priority operations designed to turn the tables on Soviet intelligence. This was the era of AETARGET. How did this operation get its name? The designation AETARGET follows the CIA's standard cryptonym convention for Soviet-related operations. The AE prefix was assigned to projects targeting the Soviet Union. The word target was a literal operational descriptor. Unlike vague codenames, this was a focused effort to identify, locate, and neutralize, either through defection or apprehension, specific high-ranking officers of the KGB. First Chief Directorate who posed the greatest threat to Western assets. AETARGET was the agency's offensive against the elite of Soviet intelligence. AETARGET was a CIA operational umbrella for counterintelligence missions aimed at identifying illegal KGB officers, agents operating under deep cover without diplomatic immunity. A quote from a declassified counterintelligence chief's briefing. In the hunt for the KGB, we aren't looking for the man in the trench coat. We are looking for the neighbor who has lived next to you for 10 years and never makes a mistake. End quote. Records show that AETARGET utilized bait operations where low-level agency officers would intentionally appear vulnerable to recruitment to see which KGB handler would bite. Documentation confirms that the operation was responsible for the identification of Vitaly Yurchenko, a high-ranking KGB officer who briefly defected to the U.S. in 1985. The program pioneered vulnerability profiling, using psychologists to analyze the spending habits and marital stressors of Soviet officers stationed in New York City. A quote from an internal evaluation of Soviet defectors: "The most successful AETARGET captures were not bought with money. They were bought with the promise of a life where they didn't have to look over their shoulder." End quote. Logs indicate that AETARGET officers utilized invisible ink detection technology to intercept letters sent by KGB illegals back to their center in Moscow. Files reveal the operation used early voice stress analysis during recruitment pitches to determine if a potential KGB defector was actually a dangle or double agent. Records prove that AETARGET tracked the movement of dead drop spikes, hollowed-out bolts used to hide film, across urban parts in Washington, D.C. The program implemented ghost surveillance, where a target would be followed by up to 20 different officers over a single day to ensure the surveillance was never detected. Documentation confirms that AETARGET was instrumental in the exfiltration of families of defectors from behind the Iron Curtain using specialized vehicle compartments. Internal ledgers confirm the agency created legend backstories for their own officers that were so complex they survived the scrutiny of the KGB's elite interrogators. Records indicate that the program successfully identified a mole within the British MI6 by cross-referencing Soviet travel patterns. The initiative utilized signal triangulation to pinpoint illegal shortwave radio broadcasts coming from residential areas in Northern Virginia. Records show that AETARGET analysts built a relational database that mapped every known social contact of the KGB's top brass. Internal files reveal the operation used scent-tracking chemicals applied to the shoes of targets, allowing specialized dogs to follow them hours later. Documentation shows the program used optical character recognition, an early version, to scan thousands of Soviet manifests for hidden names. Logs prove that AETARGET successfully intercepted a shipment of ciphers disguised as ordinary Russian novels. Technical manuals confirm the use of sub-miniature cameras hidden inside lighters and pens to document KGB meetings in public restaurants. The agency established a secret training facility known as the Farm, specifically for AETARGET officers to practice hugging or turning a target in a single encounter. Logs showed that AETARGET was the primary vehicle used to process Dmitry Polyakov, oh, I'm butchering it, sorry everybody, Polyakov, the high-ranking GRU officer codenamed Top Hat, who provided the U.S. with some of its most critical intelligence during the Cold War. Internal memos confirm that the operation utilized mail cover operations to monitor all correspondence coming from the Soviet embassy to private residences in Maryland. Records prove the operation employed trash intelligence teams to recover shredded documents from Soviet-linked dumpsters, which were then reconstructed using early computer scanning. Documentation confirms the agency used audio penetration kits consisting of laser microphones that could read the vibrations of window glass in Soviet consulate buildings. Logs reveal the AETARGET coordinated with the FBI to set up a secret surveillance floor in a hotel directly across from the Soviet mission to the UN. Internal files show that the operation identified the KGB's use of spy dust, a chemical marker called nitrophenylpentadienol, nitrophenylpentadienal, used to track U.S. diplomats in Moscow. Technical manuals confirm that AETARGET used seismic sensors placed near known KGB safe houses to track the arrival and departure of heavy armored transport vehicles. Records show the program utilized linguistic fingerprinting to identify the unique writing style of anonymous Soviet propagandists operating in the Western press. Archival evidence shows that AETARGET utilized radiological sniffing equipment to detect if Soviet officers were handling nuclear-related materials during their clandestine meetings. Internal reports confirm that the program deployed acoustic shadowing teams to record the ultrasonic frequencies emitted by KGB encryption machines to reverse engineer their codes. Data proves that AETARGET successfully identified a secret KGB recruitment program specifically targeting students at elite Ivy League universities in the late 1970s. Documentation confirms that the agency used microwave bursts to disrupt the wireless perimeter alarms of Soviet villas, allowing for the surreptitious placement of listening devices. Records show that the operation utilized isotope tracing in the water supply of known Soviet residential complexes to track the number of inhabitants when official head counts were unavailable. Internal memos reveal that AETARGET coordinated a secret swap shop with West German intelligence to trade captured Soviet communication hardware for human intelligence assets. Technical logs confirm that the program used early facial recognition algorithms to scan crowd footage from international airports looking for known KGB travel aliases. Records show that AETARGET successfully intercepted a specialized KGB assassination kit that used a pressurized gas canister disguised as a standard umbrella. Internal reports confirm that AETARGET identified a KGB operation to plant listening devices in the typewriters of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, a breach that lasted for years. Agency archives show the program intercepted encrypted communications between Soviet maritime vessels and illegal agents stationed in San Francisco. Data confirms that AETARGET teams used static electric mapping to detect hidden microphones inside the walls of foreign government buildings. Records prove that the program used a dummy corporation in West Germany to sell compromised encryption software to Soviet-aligned satellite states. A quote from a declassified counterintelligence manual. The most dangerous weapon in the Soviet arsenal is not the SS-20 missile, but the disciplined mind of a KGB illegal who truly believes they are an American. End quote. Documentation confirms the agency used atmospheric sampling near Soviet diplomatic residences to detect the chemical signatures of clandestine film processing. Logs reveal that AETARGET analysts successfully identified a massive Soviet financial operation to fund peace movements in Western Europe. Internal memos show the program coordinated with the Department of State to expel known KGB officers under the guise of diplomatic persona non grata. Technical manuals reveal that AETARGET created a proprietary system called TargetNet to share real-time surveillance data between the CIA and friendly foreign intelligence services. Data confirms that AETARGET used specialized X-ray imaging to see inside the diplomatic luggage of Soviet officials without opening the bags. Records show that the operation mapped the social graph of the wives of Soviet diplomats to find secondary recruitment avenues. Internal reports confirm that the program identified a KGB plan to sabotage the pipeline during a period of high international tension. Documentation proves the agency used biofeedback training for its own deep cover agents to ensure they could pass Soviet-administered polygraphs. In the declassified files of AETARGET, the heaviest redactions occur in the section titled Internal Audit High-Level Compromise. According to the FOIA records at the National Security Archive, these are the most heavily censored pages in the history of the Directorate of Operations. A chilling theory among former counterintelligence officers suggests those black bars hide the identity of a super mole who sat on the agency's 7th floor. They speculate AETARGET actually caught a top-level official, but the government deep-sixed the records to prevent a total collapse of public trust. They claim the black ink masked the name of a man who is still considered a national hero. There's a persistent whisper that the redactions cover chemical interrogation refinement. This theory suggests the agency used advanced narcotics to erase the memories of captured KGB officers before sending them back to Moscow as sleepers. They believe the redactions mask the chemical formulas used to turn humans into blank states. In certain investigative circles, it's suggested the redactions hide a kinetic orbital program. The theory is that AETARGET utilized a top-secret satellite to track the biosigns of KGB officers and, in 3 specific cases, used a laser to induce a natural brain aneurysm from space. They believe the black blocks hide the coordinates of these orbital strikes. Deep within the dark web of historical speculation, there is a theory that AETARGET's ultimate redactions hide a program called Project Mir. Speculators claim the agency successfully replaced a high-ranking KGB officer with a surgically altered double, a literal cloned personality, who successfully infiltrated the KGB. They believe the blacked-out pages hide the evidence that the man who eventually dismantled the Soviet Union did so from within and was actually an agency asset. Was AETARGET a success? Tactically, it was a Cold War checkmate. It successfully identified and neutralized dozens of KGB officers who were actively dismantling Western intelligence networks. Strategically, it was a psychological shield. The operation was a success because it sowed such profound paranoia within the KGB that they began to purge their own best officers, suspecting them of being CIA plants. The success of AETARGET is found in its attritional value. It successfully exhausted the KGB's resources. The agency successfully proved that the hunter could easily become the prey. However, the program's success was also its paranoid legacy. It successfully caught spies, but it also fueled an internal witch hunt that ruined the careers of many loyal American officers. It successfully established the gold standard for counter-espionage. The mission was a total success in terms of providing the president with an accurate picture of the Soviet inner circle. It successfully integrated human intelligence with burgeoning electronic surveillance. Ultimately, it was a success because it allowed the U.S. to win the intelligence war of the 80s without firing a shot. The program successfully identified the true face of the enemy. It successfully turned the KGB's greatest strengths into their greatest vulnerabilities. Its success is also seen in how it successfully prevented a major Soviet sabotage operation against the U.S. power grid in 1987. Looking back, the operation was a success because it fundamentally crippled the KGB's ability to operate in the West for nearly a decade. It successfully demonstrated that counter-espionage is the ultimate form of defense. While some methods remain buried in the redactions, the AETARGET era was a success and its primary goal, making the price of spying on America too high to pay. Furthermore, it successfully mapped the psychological terrain of the Soviet elite, allowing for more effective diplomatic pressure. The program was a success because it proved that no matter how deep the cover, the agency could find the crack in the armor. It successfully ensured that for every Soviet move, there was a hidden American counter move. It was a success because it turned the Cold War into a one-sided conversation where the U.S. did all the listening. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the hunt for Red October resulted in breakthroughs that define modern counterintelligence today, such as behavioral anomaly detection. The algorithms developed to flag suspicious lifestyle changes in KGB officers are now the foundation of modern insider threat software used by banks and government agencies. Micro-tagging chemistry. The specialized chemical markers used to track targets are now used in modern forensics and to track the movement of illicit narcotics and weapons. Encrypted burst exfiltration. The tech used to get data out of Moscow in a split second is the direct ancestor of modern secure satellite communications and VPN protocols. Relational network mapping. The early database work used to link Soviet spies is now the primary tool for mapping terrorist cells and global criminal organizations. AETARGET reminds us that the most dangerous war is the one fought in the mind. The hunt for Red October proved that in the world of intelligence, your greatest enemy is often the one you think you know. The analog tape recorders of the 80s have turned into the metadata filters of today, but the search for the enemy within never ends. We are still living in the world built by these counter spies. Every background check and security clearance protocol is a remnant of the lessons learned during AETARGET. The story of AETARGET is a story of looking into the abyss and ensuring the abyss doesn't look back. The target is still moving and the agency is still watching. We must remember that a free society is only as secure as its secrets. Through AETARGET, the government achieved a mastery of the shadow war. The program evolved, but the mission to find the mole remains. It serves as a reminder that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance against those who would steal it from the inside. In the quiet halls of counterintelligence, the game of cat and mouse is still played every single day. By hunting the hunters of the past, they ensured the safety of the future. The board has changed, but the pieces remain the same. This operation proved that the most effective weapon is the truth, uncovered from beneath a mountain of lies. The hunt continues, but the trail was blazed by AETARGET. They were the ones who dared to hunt the ghost in the machine. In the final account, AETARGET was the invisible wall that kept the Republic safe during its most fragile hour. The hunters themselves may remain nameless, but their victories are carved into the very structure of Western security. Their vigilance ensured that even in the darkest hours of the Cold War, the light of intelligence never flickered out. Through their quiet dedication, they proved that the best way to win a war is to know exactly what your enemy is planning before they even know it themselves. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, and remember, the person you're looking for might be looking for you. Join us next time as we examine Charlie Robofish. In the secret labs of the agency, science and biology collided to create the ultimate underwater observer. We'll uncover the facts behind Charlie Robofish, the unmanned underwater vehicle disguised as a catfish to gather water samples near nuclear sites. It was a game of bionic biology, environmental espionage, and a high-tech fish that swam where no human can go. Join us next time for the mechanical deep. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.